Welcome to Wisdom to Wealth. I'm Whitney Hammond, owner of Sovereign Wealth Management, and this is Theresa Pellizzari, Financial Security Advisor with Sovereign Wealth Management. Hi, Theresa.
Hi, Whitney. Hi, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Wisdom to Wealth, we talk about how you can manage your money without your money managing you. So whether you have been investing for a long time, or you are a new investor, or you're looking to try and save your own money, or you're just looking for some chips from the top, here we are to help you. And today's topic that we're going to talk about is spring cleaning for your finances. What a great time to look at it. And we actually do have time. So Theresa, you have a couple of tips that you'd like to share with us. Could you take it away for us?
Okay, so today we'll start with no blame, no shame. So many people get stuck in not addressing their financial situation because no one wants to feel that emotion of blame or shame of how they've handled things in the past. So what the key thing to remember is you only learn from the past, otherwise leave it in the past and focus on the future. And I've watched many people after a 1-hour meeting have a paradigm shift and get excited about knowing what they need to do. And that blame and shame is now history. So, and you just gain momentum moving forward. I just gave myself goosebumps thinking about it.
That's awesome. You know, mindset is so important. Sometimes some of us feel so shamed from childhood that the message in our mind really inhibits us from, doing the things that we want to do in life. And some people would say, well, how do I shift that mindset? And it is possible. And it's usually just taking you can trick your mind. If you keep saying something in your mind will believe it. So if you tell yourself, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, you're not going to be worthy. But if you tell yourself, I am worthy, and I am worthy of making a mountain, saving a mountain, whatever your mantra is, it will come true because the mind will believe what you tell it. So feed it positive information. Any more tips for us?
Yeah, and just to wrap up your point, Whitney, us as advisors, we don't have time to judge. So as Whitney said, don't live in that fear of what your mind's telling you. Leave the blame and the shame in the past, draw the line, move into the future, because as advisors, we're problem solvers. We just want to move to the solutions. So number 2, as part of the solution, is taking a snapshot of your finances. When you're going to start, it's absolutely important that you understand what is the current situation. Pull out all your statements, go through your online banking, understand what your expenses are. This allows you to set your priorities, keep things simple, and focus on where you're going to get the greatest impact.
So, yes. That sounds to me like a budget, and it's so important. A burn rate, no matter what you earn, it doesn't matter. I have a burn rate. Everybody has to have a burn rate. Good point.
Right. And for those that have been listening to us in the past, burn rate, budget, cash flow planning, it's all the same. It's to build awareness. So the next one is to have a foolproof credit card strategy. And this is important because those little plastic cards don't carry as much emotion when you're going to spend as if you were taking cash out of your wallet. And I learned that years ago as a server, that whenever someone paid with a credit card, they spent more money and I always got a bigger tip. So the emotion, that disconnect. And when you think about credit cards, if you're going to buy something for $1,000 and you don't pay for it by the end of the month or the month after that, that interest accumulates. And instead of paying $1,000 for something, you actually paid $1,200. So, and it's a bit of a fooling game that you play with yourself. It's important to pay it off. I pay off my credit card bi-weekly, just so that it doesn't get out of hand and I'm ignoring it. Because years ago when you started getting points, when they started that system, I thought, oh, well, I'm going to collect points for my gas. Well, lo and behold, all my gas money was sitting in my bank account, I thought. Meanwhile, it was on my credit card. and I was fooling myself. So very important to manage those credit cards.
That is really good advice, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that gets ahead. If you don't pay off your credit card by the due date, every single thing that you buy in the month and the next month, they're going to charge interest. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is try harder to save. So right now, when we're, with those three things that you just talked about, Theresa, the managing your cash flow, your debt, and the blame is try to save harder. So, we say, oh, well, there's no money left at the end of the month. There's no money left at the end of the month because you spent it. So if you look at, let's go through the credit card and let's look at where, oh, I spent $100 here, or I went through and I spent $100 in the month on drive-through coffees or whatever. When you eliminate that stuff, and we have eliminated that stuff right now. Now is the time to take that money and put it into something else. Doesn't matter. It could be a bank account. You can buy something online. You can call us. We can set something up for you. But the key to building wealth is to put systematic amounts of money away on a regular basis. And that gets you to all of the things that we accumulate. It just doesn't fall on our lap one day. It's a matter of doing with what you need and putting aside what you need on a monthly basis. So I'm sure everybody could find $25, $50, $100 a month, and then we build on top of that. The other thing is have separate savings. So a short-term savings, a medium-term savings, and a long-term savings. So the short-term savings is for an emergency fund. Hey, does anybody know what the definition is of an emergency fund? Well, I do, because I grew up with it. Theresa, you grew up with it, but we have a generation of millennials that never have even heard the term. This is why we need an emergency fund. COVID. Right? COVID. I'm doing okay. You're doing okay. Why? Because we have an emergency fund. So get that savings plan going so that you do have an emergency fund. The things for longer term, so emergency fund is short term. Your medium term is going to be saving up for things like a home, vacation, whenever that's going to be, but you'll have your own reasons why you have a medium term, and then long term is going to be your retirement. If you do not put money away for your retirement starting today, when you're older, like my age, middle 50s, you're going to have to save up a ton of money versus just putting a little bit away. So develop those really good healthy habits. This is the time to do it. Those were the top 5, and in the next show we're going to talk about the next 5. So we're going to end it off here. And thank you, Theresa, for being here today.
Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we'll see you again soon in our next episode of Wisdom to Wealth.